Till 2018, I ran my own business of 43 local employees, and still constant staff shortages, a lack of skills in our team, high dependencies on individual team members, and high fixed costs cost me as the business leader to be stressed 90% of the day. I constantly had to focus on solving staff problems instead of focusing on growing my business and serving my clients. Often I felt that there must be a better way of working. A way that allows me to work independent from local staff shortage, keep costs flexible and variable, aligned with my revenue, operate my business independently from individual employees, and free from the constant lack of skills and capacities. In 2018, driven by a huge crash and inspired by 3 studies of the Stanford University named Flash Teams, Flash Organizations, and Dream Teams, I figured out a real system that allowed me to scale my business with global freelancers in a reliable way and 100% independent from local staff shortage that is holding most businesses back from profitable growth in a work environment of happy and engaged people. Implementing virtual teams of global freelancers in my business doubled our revenue, increased our profitability by almost 50%, and released me and everyone else in my team from a lack of resources, skills, and capacity. I'm now surrounded and supported by over 150 people from over 67 countries that are experts in what they do, that love the job they do and bring expertise, happiness, and motivation into our workdays. As an entrepreneur, I never felt that free, independent, and well supported by my team. And very importantly to mention, in times of Corona, when business went down by 30% and more, this system enabled me and my business to operate profitably during the whole crisis. This was because with virtual teams, we were able to adjust our costs with decreasing revenue as fast as the crisis hit. And 2 months later, when business went up again, we had the team ready that we need to serve all our customers and continue to grow the business profitably. In a culture of cooperation, we were able to support each other and nobody had to be fired. In times of ever-increasing speed of change, this is the flexibility and the support that I always wanted to see in my own business. For me as an entrepreneur, working with virtual teams means the ultimate freedom and a final release from the pressure of high fixed costs, from staff shortages, and from the dependency on individual team members that I had when running a business with only local employees. I made huge mistakes on this journey, and this cost me over 1 million euro. I tested and failed with offshoring, nearshoring, with all these freelancer platforms, as well as with local partners. Finally, after 2 years, I figured out the system that allowed me to scale my business independently from local staff shortages and free from the pressure of high fixed costs. I want to teach you the whole system, give you all my experience and the complete knowledge that I got with all my failures, and help you transforming your business into a flexible, profitable, and scalable organization leveraging the power of virtual freelancer teams. Here's one word of attention that I want you to seriously consider. It's not a one-click everyone can do process. It requires work, and it requires that you get the details right. If you do so, this will bring unmet flexibility, scalability, and profitability to your business, far beyond your current imagination. I experienced it myself. First, then other clients that went through this transformation had the same results. I can tell you from my own experience how it changed my personal life. Having less stress and enjoying the independence that me and my team got. After you've implemented this transformation for your business, leading a business will mean you being free from dependencies, free from high fixed costs, and free from 50 to 80-hour working weeks. You'll simply always have the right experts available and a system that will allow you to delegate tasks reliably, track progress transparently, and get the business results that you need without you having to spend more and more time and hiring more and more full-time employees that increase your fixed costs and decrease your flexibility and independence. You will learn to lead virtual teams, the whole system of leading virtual teams with confidence, and establish a digital leadership system that gives you transparency, control, flexibility, and the required results. So let's dive into it. Leading virtual teams and scaling with global freelancers is possible today and solves a huge problem of every organization, namely finding the right talent when you need it and leading these experts to deliver reliable results. Leveraging the power of virtual teams of global freelancers will empower you to scale your workforce beyond your imagination. With FlashUp, you get access to selected global freelancers, best practice tools, and proven workflows put together as a digital leadership system that supports you with leading a distributed workforce and with growing a culture of high performance. You will get deep and practical knowledge that are the proven fundamentals of successful virtual teams that deliver high performance consistently over years in almost any kind of digital work. You'll get deep and practical insights to the following topics: the basics of successful virtual teams, finding the right experts, defining roles properly, keeping your team focused, the 3 core roles of each team, selecting the right tools, Scrum in virtual teams, proper onboarding and offboarding, delegating properly, identifying performance risks in your team, effective communication, improving performance continuously, giving effective feedback, time management with time boxes, self-organization hacks. My name is Manuel Pistner. My team and I founded FlashHub after working with over 500 freelancers in over 67 countries with over 200,000 hours of work delivered in globally distributed teams per year. Our experience reaches from software development for web, mobile, desktop and cloud applications, over digital marketing and sales, through to digital construction, engineering, accounting, architecture and design, literally all kinds of work that is not plain physical. I can show you from my own practical experience that the only limitation for virtual teams is the need to touch physical goods. Every other blocker is just an unreal belief, and I want to help you to understand the skills, tools and methods you can use and deploy to unlock the power of virtual teams and scale your workforce in the most flexible and reliable way you could ever imagine. In order to fill the defined roles of your virtual team correctly, you need the right experts with the right skills and the necessary experience working in the right roles. This setup defines the architecture of your team. Having a blueprint of your perfect team setup is the key to a reliable and scalable virtual team that delivers performance consistently. Your exact role definition helps you to hire not only by sympathy, but by soft skills, hard skills, and experience. Having the right experts working in the right roles in your team accounts for at least 50% of your team's probability of success. The remaining 50% are determined equally by the right workflows and the right tools that support your team and give you transparency and control over results and progress. Improve the role description with every pitfall that you encounter so that your learnings are systematically embedded in your role and in your work and don't only depend on anyone's personal experience or gut feeling. Hiring the right people and improving your team's performance consistently across your organization is crucial for successful organizations, and it all starts with the right requirements in your role description and the proper architecture of your team. In the following video, Defining Roles Properly, you will learn the exact steps of defining your role description for successful hiring of freelancers and get a template that supports you in filling your requirements. In the following videos, you'll also learn about the optimal team architecture as the foundation of a high-performance team. With our coaching for the right role definition and our freelancer assessment that checks for soft skills and hard skills, you get access to a systematic hiring and sourcing process that brings clarity and certainty in finding the right experts for your team. As with every system that needs to deliver performance reliably, details matter, and each component in the system must exactly understand its purpose Its accountability, its responsibility, the standards and procedures they need to follow, and the tools they should use for collaboration. Other expectations such as availability or response time bring clarity and reduce complexity, friction and unmet expectations. Anything else is not a reliable and scalable system, but pure coincidence. The separation between accountability and responsibility is a very important key concept of high-performance teams. A person that is accountable owns the result and must know the current progress at any time. She needs to decide on staff and strategy changes. The accountable person can delegate single tasks or responsibilities, but she still owns the overall result. This means that if the person you delegate to fails, the delegated subject comes back to you, and you, as the accountable person, have to deal with it. The accountable person should provide a KPI, performance indicator system to track results and quality standards for the responsible person so that the responsible person can get feedback about her progress at any time and has full transparency about her performance. The responsible person has to produce the required results, deliver the required KPIs, and has to take the required tactical actions to deliver the results. The responsible person must inform about the status and progress in the agreed interval and ask for help and support if needed. You want to optimize for delegation chains that are as short as possible. And of course, you want to keep everyone in the team accountable for their own work results and make sure that everyone gets the clarity, transparency, and control over their own work to be able to understand their current performance and progress. Transparency and clarity bring focus into your organization and allows leaders to coach people personally to deliver the required and committed results. The architecture of a high-performance team counts on leaders instead of managers. Leaders that help people to deliver performance based on objective indicators instead of managers that manage people like resources. Other than a local team, a virtual team can be distributed across different time zones and usually works asynchronously. This means that although there are and must be fixed meeting times to find a common rhythm for the team, not everyone in the team is available at all times. To avoid disappointment from unfulfilled implicit expectations, it is essential that these expectations are clearly communicated for all team members, as well as transparent and persistent anchored in your leadership system. This is done in the role description. Make sure to create many smaller roles rather than one big role. This allows you to fill each role with real experts instead of average all-rounders that might be able to do everything, say no to nothing, but deliver only average results. Roles that contain too many demands on skills and experiences can only be filled with all-rounders who usually only have average quality in their individual skills and won't meet the expectations and performance in the long run. Now, you might be lucky and find such a person. If you rely only on great all-rounders, this will create a huge dependency on this individual within your organization and decrease your flexibility, as these people are typically very hard to find. A role description should at least clarify the following areas as clearly as possible. You can use your role description as internal documentation for coachings and to provide crystal clear expectations, which will result in a much higher performance compared to little clarity and implicit expectations. The following parts should be included in a proper role description that allows you to assess and lead people properly. The purpose of the role. To create a proper purpose description for a specific role, you can answer the following questions. Why do you need this role? And why does this role exist? What problem are you trying to solve with this role? And which results do you want to achieve? What is the background of having this role? For example, what happened in the past that shouldn't happen again when this role is filled with an expert? The key performance indicators, short KPIs per role to measure performance, are important to define and track performance continuously. KPIs are results that you want to measure consistently with numbers to provide objective insights on how well things worked in the past as a result of the activities of the person. Measuring key driver activities, which are actions and activities of the person in the role that lead to the results that you want to measure, will give you insights if things are happening in a way so that you achieve the results that you want. With KPIs, you set the focus of people to what really matters. Make sure that systems in your organization provide transparency about these numbers, for example, via KPI dashboards or via OKRs, objectives and key results. There is a framework called RACI framework. The RACI framework helps you define accountabilities, responsibilities, people to inform, and people you can request for consultation when working in a specific role on a specific subject. Clarity about these subjects brings focus to your organization and reduces noise, which comes through constant communication and interruptions, which are often caused by missing clarity. The following topics of the RACI matrix should be covered in proper role descriptions. Accountability of the role. Each accountability can only be assigned to one person at a time. Accountable people don't have to be responsible to do the work directly, but they are held accountable for the result and need to ensure that whoever is responsible executes and delivers the agreed results and provides transparency about progress. Responsibilities of the role. Several people can be responsible for the same thing. People who are responsible have to work directly on delivering the expected results, monitor their own performance, and report in the agreed system. Having both accountable and responsible people in the team adds checks and balances and a separation of control and interest, which provides a setup that leads to high performance and better quality of results. Reports the person must create. Define clearly which reports you want, in which interval you want them, which data they contain, or better said, which questions the data should answer you, and which tool should be used to provide these reports. Don't waste time in meetings asking the same questions and waiting for people to start thinking about the right answers. Work asynchronously and focused instead, and have people that are prepared for meetings and give status updates consistently based on well-prepared facts. A written check-in with a status update before the meeting starts raises the necessity for preparation. We provide you with a Slack bot that automatically asks team members for their update and creates the reports you require per team member or role so that you are always up to date about the progress and results of each team member. You can define the questions that will give you the answers needed, and our bot meets everyone in the team to get you the answers. The required availability and in which time zone a person should work. This can be, for example, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time on each working day, for example. If you don't require 24/7 availability of the team, you usually want a 2-hour overlap to all team members of the team for synchronous meetings, and the rest of the work is getting done asynchronously. If a person commits to working in a requested time zone, it is not relevant in which time zone they are actually based. The only thing that matters is that they are okay eventually working at night to ensure availability in your requested and agreed time zone. Remember, a strong agreement needs to be committed by all parties, not just the person that requests for the agreement. If you don't have the commitment of all parties, your agreement is at risk to be not reliable. Required hard skills of the person in this role. Hard skills are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify and to recognize by a third person. Typically, you'll learn hard skills at school, in certification classes, through books or other training materials, or on the job with ongoing experience. Hard skills are, for example, programming with a specific programming language, reading, writing, and understanding a specific language, designing user interfaces, working according to specific standards are all examples of hard skills. Required soft skills of the person in this role. Soft skills are subjective skills that are much harder to quantify and most likely have to deal with subjective, personal interaction, so they are also known as people skills or interpersonal skills. Soft skills describe the way you relate to and interact with other people. Unlike hard skills, it's hard to point to specific evidence that you possess a specific soft skill. Soft skills are, for example, communication, flexibility, leadership, motivation, patience, problem-solving abilities, teamwork, time management, or work ethics. Having specific soft skills in addition to the core values of a person will become an important part of your culture. However, not every person working in your company must bring all soft skills that you as a person like. It is important that the person brings the soft skills that are required to fill the assigned role successfully so that the person can contribute value to the team, which was designed by the setup of proper roles before you hire these people. Required certifications for the role. This can be, for example, a certificate for an AWS solution architect for standards such as ITIL, Scrum Master, Product Owner, a ISO certification, etc. There are many organizations that provide such certificates, and you should be aware of the difference in order to ask for the standard that best supports your needs. Make sure to only demand for those certificates that are really required. Remember how important it is to fill your roles with experts in one specific subject, instead of depending on all-rounders that are hard to find and create high dependencies. With FlashUp, we can help you find the right certification if you need our support. To which standards must a person comply with in this role? This must be a standard that people explicitly can read, learn, and follow. Remember, a standard that is not enforced is just a suggestion. A standard that is not written and readable for a third person anywhere is not a standard, as it can't be followed and tested clearly by any person based on objective criteria. Required legal documents for the role. If you work with FlashHub, we always have a standard NDA in place. If people of a certain role have access to personally identifiable information, freelancers with this role should sign an additional data processing agreement so that they comply with GDPR regulations. Depending on the country where the person works, the data processing agreement to cover GDPR regulations can vary. If you need more in-depth legal advice, we can provide you with experts from our network that are specialists in this subject. Required languages and language level. We recommend using English as the main language of any team. Just because a copy text writer or business analyst must speak a local language different than English, that does not mean all other roles must speak this local language as well. If you require a local language for every role, it's a lot harder to find the right talent, meaning you will get less candidates. It takes longer to find the right person, and you don't benefit from possible lower hourly rates due to a lower cost of living in some regions of our world. And then there are some other topics that should be included in the role description, or at least in internal procedures and policies that a person working in a specific role should follow. We will cover these topics in a separate video in more detail. The other topics are: what tools or frameworks should people use working in this role? To make sure that a person is onboarded and offboarded from the tools she should work with, this is described in the onboarding checklist. Onboarding steps for a person in this role. We provide you with a free checklist for starters that you can extend for your offboarding and onboarding. Offboarding steps for a person in this role. See a separate video in this academy named Proper Onboarding and Offboarding about onboarding and offboarding people from and into specific roles. Make sure to update the role description with every important learning so that this learning is persistent and improves your next hire's experience and performance right from the start. Continuous improvements are important to create a team that delivers performance consistently and makes your organization better and better over time. For testing freelancers with real work tasks, you can ask freelancers to do test tasks during the hiring and assessment process. However, good freelancers will only perform paid test tasks. Why is that? It's because for good freelancers, it's easy to find well-paid jobs, so they don't have to do work for free. If they had to, the price per hour for regular work will be a disadvantage for you and simply more expensive. See this flexibility as your advantage and start working with some freelancers that seem to match your expectations and then test them in real work scenarios. This real work experience will give you valuable insights for a proper experience-based decision instead of just an early opinion. If you just rely on the result of assessments, you will find people that are good at assessments. Nothing can replace real work experience, and we provide you with the flexibility and the service to find and test good freelancers so that you can choose the best ones based on true experience instead of just opinions. Finding people that work as experts in properly defined roles is the first step in building a successful team that delivers the performance you require. Then, focusing your team on subjects that really matter is one of the most important things to consider when creating an environment of high performance for your team. To keep performance in your team high, you have to keep people accountable and their roles as clean as possible. This will allow every team member to work in the scope of her core expertise with a maximum of focus on what she can do best. What Tony Robbins says is a practical advice that helps to increase performance consistently, which is where focus goes, energy flows. This is true for every individual in your team and should be a core rule and a cultural habit. Most freelancers are subject matter experts that require a work environment where they can focus on their strongest skills in order to be successful and happy at work. A negative example for a polluted and unfocused role that leads to tasks being delivered only with medium or low quality can be the usual description of a software developer. In many of the teams that we've seen before, the developer is responsible for at least 3 of the following areas at the same time. Building software based on only a rough description of the results. Building the software architecture. Front-end development and back-end development, having an eye for usability, designing the user interface, server or cloud administration, software testing and quality assurance, managing the time of his project, prioritizing tasks, and communicating with the product or project owner. Demanding for too many expert skills in one single role is a typical sign for the root cause of average quality and low performance. In a virtual team with well-defined roles that promotes asynchronous collaboration, transparency and clarity, and enables the use of subject matter experts, these responsibilities are defined by individual roles instead like this. Building software based on only a rough description of the result is assigned to a business analyst that creates structured requirements. Building the software architecture is assigned to a software architect that is often the same person as the technical team lead. Front-end development is assigned to a front-end developer that has the skill of the specific technology. The same applies for the back-end development that is assigned to a back-end developer with the specific technology as his or her core skill set. Having an eye for usability or user experience design is assigned to a UX designer that designs the usability of a user interface. Server or cloud administration is assigned to a system architect or a so-called DevOps engineer. Software testing and quality assurance is assigned to a software tester or to a test engineer in case of automated testing. Managing the time of a project, prioritizing tasks and communicating with the project owner is assigned to a project manager and a product owner. The roles in other teams such as marketing teams, sales teams, accounting teams, design teams, or social media teams must be structured in the same way to promote clear accountability and clarity. Questions like, can you do this again? Can you help me here? Why didn't you think of? Often mean that a person is creepingly entrusted with new tasks, often outside of his or her core competency, that we call role pollution or role creep. If you want to maintain the performance of your team, we highly recommend to avoid role pollution. You can decide to give a person more tasks and responsibilities if you want to accept the risk that this extra assignment might lead to lower quality of the main work the person was initially hired for. Finding people that work as experts in properly defined roles is the first step in building a successful team that delivers the performance you require. Then, focusing your team on every team needs to cover at least the following roles presented in this video. With these roles, you ensure by the design of your team and by its architecture that all important accountabilities and responsibilities are covered and your expectations are clearly delegated. Multiple roles can be assigned to one person. This should only happen if the person understands the role clearly and also understands the time impact on other roles she already has taken. The assignment of additional roles should only happen with clear intent and commitment of both sides, and in no case just accidentally or because there is simply no other person yet available that can do the work. The team owner. The team owner owns the value of the results of the team, like the value of the software that is developed for their users or the value of the ads and marketing assets for the target audience. The team owner defines the team architecture and setup, can hire and release the team or individuals of the team. The team owner owns the scope and the return on investment. She conveys her vision into the team and responds to questions during execution. For this, as well as for any other responsibility, the team owner can hire additional experts and delegate accountability, responsibilities, or single tasks to them. Typically, this happens by hiring a product owner in case of a Scrum-based team and a project manager to delegate management of resources such as time, budget, scope, quality, etc. She ensures that the team is doing the right thing, basically the things that create the most value. She does that by creating understandable requirements, clearly communicating measurable goals that the team can understand and track, monitoring results and giving objective feedback frequently to the team. The team owner, as well as every other person in the team and any stakeholder, has to respect that teams self-organize and don't demand additional work in the middle of an active sprint. Otherwise, the team gets distracted and focus gets lost, which will result in a direct performance decrease. The team lead. The team lead owns the quality of the results like durability, reliability, maintainability, etc. for software or the right marketing mix or the return on ad spend, for example, for performance marketing. He's available for the team to answer subject-related questions in the first place and can forward these questions to the team owner if no answer is found in the team. She, as an expert in her field, monitors that the team is doing the things right. For example, for software development, this can be measured by test coverage, bugs per lines of code, bugs per task, or availability of the service, as well as by bugs found during the quality assurance. The team lead must be the person with the broadest knowledge related to the subject of the team and must have the longest experience. She's the one to review team results, like code reviews in a software project, and decide about activities to improve them. The process owner. The process owner is the person that owns the process and the workflow of the team. This can be a Scrum Master if the team works according to Scrum. The person owns communication and leads the team through the process. She reports on the team's performance in terms of budget, time spent, results delivered, and other agreed KPIs to track, and she escalates issues to the team owner to make fact-based decisions. The person owns the collaboration and the communication of the team and escalates issues to the team owner. She helps the team to properly plan sprints using the budget provided by the team owner and helping the team schedule what's done per sprint. The process owner has to shield the team from distractions and ensure that Scrum methodology or any other collaboration structure and workflow is followed. This can be, for example, having regular meetings, working in sprints, continuous communication within the team, delivering status updates, etc. You can also use Kanban, ITIL, or other process standards in your team, but there must always be a master role for this process who is responsible for implementing, optimizing, and controlling the process in the team so that collaboration works smoothly and communication in the team is effective. Having a process that the team sticks to for collaboration makes sure that communication is structured and results of each individual contribute to the overall results of the team. Every team needs to cover at least the following roles presented in this video. With these roles, you ensure by the design of your team and by its architecture that all important accountabilities and responsibilities are covered and your tools can have a huge impact on the efficiency of your team, on accessibility of information, and on the joy of work of every team member if they are selected and used properly. Let me show you how you can select on the right tooling for your virtual team. Tools have the important task to support the team in digital workflows and digital communication in the best possible way and to bring clarity, transparency, and structure into the collaboration of teams. They also help to persist knowledge and information that is generated during the process so that single dependencies on individuals are kept low and knowledge can be used to onboard new team members and transfer work-related knowledge to them during the onboarding. Tools also aim to provide transparency on performance and progress and to enable asynchronous collaboration between distributed team members in different parts of the world. You will learn more about asynchronous communication in the video named Effective Communication. The right tools digitize your team's workflows and provide the basis for automation of repeatable tasks and reports. For everyone who doesn't want to spend too much time on deciding what tools to use, we also provide some tool recommendations you can follow. Just ask your contact person at FlashHub for the virtual team tool guide or contact us via flashhub.io. In most virtual teams, we work with the following tools for the specific categories and use cases. Project management, typically we use Jira, Asana, or Trello. For time tracking, we use Jira or the Tempo plugin of Jira, Toggle, or Hubstaff. For chat communication, we use Slack or Microsoft Teams. For video chats, we use either Zoom or Slack or Microsoft Teams. For process automation and integration between apps, we use Zapier, Microsoft Flow, or If This Then That. For storing files, we use Google Drive or Microsoft SharePoint. For accounting, we use Xero or QuickBooks in combination with Get My Invoices. For documentation purpose, we use Confluence, Google Docs, or Office 365. As a customer relationship management, in short CRM, we use Pipedrive, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign, or Salesforce. For code versioning in software development projects, we use GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. For password management, we use LastPass or Dashlane. However, we prefer using LastPass because there it's possible to share passwords with other people in your team without giving them read access to the passwords itself. So these are the most important tools for your team that foster digital collaboration and provide transparency over progress and results and give you safety and security during your collaboration process. When your virtual organization progresses, there will be other tools that support your workflows and make your team's work more efficient, but we recommend to start with those tools that matter most to keep complexity and technical debt low. Per vertical, such as software development, digital marketing, or accounting, there are additional tools that bring more quality and automation, such as automated code reviews, automated testing in software development, marketing automation, accounting automation, etc. we recommend creating standards and workflows first, and then find the right tools that support these workflows and standards and make them more efficient. You can explore some existing tools to get inspiration and an understanding of what's possible with these tools. Then you can use these feature insights to design a process that works for you and your team and that can be supported by a standard tool setup. Never use a tool without the understanding of which use case you want to cover with a specific tool. In virtual teams, we recommend to rely exclusively on cloud tools, taking into account the necessary measures for compliance with the regulations such as GDPR and general data and service security, as these contribute to a high degree of automation via integration and can be operated with very low maintenance costs. A precondition for working with virtual teams is that everyone in the team, no matter where they are based, has secure access to your infrastructure, to the applications to work with, and tools needed to complete the tasks and get the work done according to your workflows and using your standards that you deployed. This digital and accessible work environment ensures that everyone in the team has transparency about the current status and gets supported by a digital leadership system that helps the team to collaborate effectively and efficiently. Tools that support digital collaboration will help you implement workflows based on asynchronous communication that doesn't require physical presence and constant synchronous meetings. To learn more about this topic, watch the video named Effective Communication in the FlashHub Academy. At FlashHub, we support you with our experience in finding the right tools for your specific use case so that work gets done reliably and progress is transparent to you at any time. Be aware that tools are never the real problem, nor are they the real solution. I know from my own personal experience that it's easy to use a new tool hoping that a major problem will be fixed immediately. This can happen, but it happens rarely. In most cases, you will find a solution for a specific problem and end up with yet another tool that does not integrate well in your overall landscape and processes, duplicates features of other tools, and so increases complexity and technical depth that will increase costs of support, cleanup and maintenance of these tools, and confuse people that use them. Tools should support you in doing effective things that you want to do with more efficiency. Choose tools wisely in order to not unnecessarily increase the complexity and technical depth of your organization. Tools need to be maintained, updated, managed, and supported. No tool is for free, even if it doesn't cost any licenses. Now, I wish you successful and happy scaling with virtual teams of global freelancers. Scrum is made to provide flexibility and structure at the same time and to cope with changing environments at increasing speed while making progress transparent and measurable. Scrum is an agile framework that provides structure for collaboration in a team that has to deliver product increments and provide flexibility to adapt in a complex and changing environment. Scrum is not a framework without clear rules, workflows, and policies. Accountability of every role, performance monitoring, and clarity of goals, progress, and of requirements is key to build a high-performance Scrum team that delivers results. Policies and procedures that have been established in the past should be considered as a standard for the team. Policies and procedures help to manifest learnings of past failures in the organization and to avoid making the same mistakes again and again. Without them, there is no support for the team that prevents them from failing over and over again with the same mistakes. Policies and procedures should be reviewed at least every year to avoid ineffective restrictions that block the team but have no real value anymore as the environment of the team changed. The so-called Scrum ceremonies keep the communication flow structured and the team's activities aligned towards the sprint goal. A typical Scrum team consists of 3 core roles, which are the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the delivery team. Additionally, we recommend that every delivery team has a lead, a team lead, that owns the quality of the results of the team. If you didn't watch the video, the 3 core roles of every team in this Flash Up Academy, I want to encourage you to watch this video and learn about the base setup of every team. The product owner is accountable for the overall product and responsible to create proper requirements that the team can understand and implement. The product owner, as well as any other role, can delegate responsibilities to other team members or to additional assistants, but the accountability will stay. Typically, a product owner can delegate the detailed writing of user stories to a business analyst that is an expert in gathering and understanding and writing requirements. The product owner accepts the implementation of the delivery team according to his or her requirements. The Scrum Master is accountable for the structured collaboration of the team according to agile values and agreed standards. He's accountable and responsible to establish a meeting rhythm that supports all participants in collaboration and in making progress towards the common sprint goal. She's responsible to provide structure and an agenda in each meeting so that every meeting has a clear purpose, a clear outcome, and is not perceived as a waste of time by the team. The Scrum Master is not a project manager and not an assistant for the team, which is often confused. The Scrum Master can be better compared to a coach for the team, a leader that helps and supports instead of manages. If your project requires a project manager, which most projects do, this can be a separate role that is hired by the team owner. The team owner delegates management of project constraints to the project manager. In a Scrum team, the project manager helps the team to track the allocation and utilization of resources and to implement reports and tracking so that the team owner has transparency about the progress of the team and helps to provide the data for the team owner to make decisions about the team setup. These restrictions and resources can be time, money, other resources such as quality, scope, velocity, and incorporation of change. The team owner also hires the product owner as part of the team to delegate ownership of the product and its requirements. The delivery team is responsible to deliver implementation of the commonly agreed sprint scope defined by the product owner and agreed on by the whole team. The successful implementation of a requirement must match the acceptance criteria of each backlog item and the definition of done of each backlog item. Depending on the subject that the delivery team needs to work on, the delivery team consists of different roles. A software development team typically consists of a software architect, a system architect, a quality assurance engineer, a front-end developer, and a back-end developer. The more important failure safety is for you and your team, the more important it is that you delegate responsibilities to peers of 2 or more people. Having only one person in one specific role will result in a single point of failure in case the person becomes unavailable. This is relevant for every team setup and every role. The team lead, as part of the delivery team, is accountable for the quality of the results in his area of expertise, like software development or digital marketing or any other subject he's an expert in. Work in Scrum is framed in sprints. A sprint usually takes 1 to 4 weeks and has the goal to deliver all requirements the team committed to. Requirements of the whole product are organized and prioritized by the product owner as backlog items in the product backlog. Backlog items are refined and estimated by the team during backlog grooming sessions and reprioritized by the product owner. Backlog grooming sessions take place during the sprint, for example, every week for 30 minutes. During the backlog grooming session, Those backlog items in the product backlog that were changed or added by the product owner are refined with more details. Sprint backlog items during a sprint never change unless the whole team agrees so that the team can focus on delivering what they committed to. The team processes the product backlog items for refinement according to their priority. Most important items are processed first, while the priority is given by the order of the backlog item. Estimations can be given by time or by complexity assigned to a backlog item. A precondition for moving a backlog item from the product backlog to the sprint backlog is that the backlog item matches the definition of ready. The definition of ready is a checklist that contains all preconditions that need to be fulfilled so that the item is ready to be implemented by the delivery team. Remember that it is the accountability of the product owner to define and prioritize requirements properly. The team organizes itself during the sprint and gets supported by the Scrum Master. To establish a transparent and structured communication, the team agrees on specific meetings with a clear purpose and a clear agenda per meeting. Typically, meetings in Scrum are set up and defined as follows. The sprint planning meeting has the goal to define the scope of work for the next sprint. The whole team is responsible for filling the sprint backlog with items that have been prioritized by the product owner in the product backlog. Only those items that match the definition of ready can be moved from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. The typical definition of ready requires an item to be estimated by time or by complexity. Estimations for backlog items are created as an estimation that was discussed and agreed on by the delivery team. Typically, this estimation session can take place in a format called planning poker, which can be integrated into the backlog grooming session. Every team has a capacity according to the weekly availability of each team member. The team can move as many backlog items to the sprint backlog as long as the sum of all backlog items and their estimations doesn't exceed the team capacity. It is important that all team members attend the sprint planning meeting and collaborate on the scope of the next sprint. The sprint planning meeting ends with a commitment of the delivery team to the scope, which is defined by all backlog items in the sprint backlog. Scrum is made to provide flexibility and structure at the same time and to cope with changing environments at increasing speed while making progress transparent and measurable. Scrum is an agile framework that provides structure for collaboration in a team that has to deliver product increments and provide flexibility to adapt in a complex and changing environment. During the sprint, communication and alignment of the team is established by processing the sprint ceremonies. Sprint ceremonies are regular meetings that are defined as follows. The daily meeting has the purpose to make progress transparent and identify blockers of individual team members. Identified blockers can be solved after the meeting with only those participants that need to be involved. The daily meeting is typically initiated and moderated by the Scrum Master and has a maximum duration of 15 minutes. It is sometimes called stand-up meeting or daily Scrum meeting. The sprint review meeting has the purpose to review the results of the previous sprint and get the acceptance from the product owner. The results are verified while the delivery team presents each implemented backlog item from the sprint backlog to the product owner and proves the completion by processing the items of the definition of done checklist. The product owner approves and confirms the implementation of each backlog item and accepts or declines the results. Backlog items that don't match the definition of done or that are declined by the product owner for any other valid reason will be moved to the product backlog and will be reprioritized by the product owner for upcoming sprints. The sprint retrospective has the purpose of identifying potential action items for improvements during the upcoming sprints to increase the performance and quality of delivery of the whole team. Feedback is given by each team member in a way that other team members can understand what went well and what could be even better. Feedback must be objective, based on recordable facts, so that everyone in the team can understand what practically needs to change. For deeper information and understanding on this subject, watch the video Giving Effective Feedback of the Flash Up Academy. The result of the retrospective meeting is a list of practical action items that should result in improvements for the next sprint. It is important that these action items are documented systematically in a meeting and in meeting notes, or extend the definition of ready and the definition of done in the backlog item template, or result in a new item in a checklist that supports the team to remember this improvement in its specific context. Each improvement item needs an owner that is accountable for these improvements, while the whole team is responsible for their implementation. The default performance metric in Scrum is the team's velocity. The team's velocity is a measure of the amount of work a team can get done during a single sprint and is the key performance indicator in Scrum. Velocity is calculated at the end of the sprint by the sum of all estimated story points or the estimations for a fully completed user story of the product backlog. Measuring the velocity and making this KPI transparent to the team is very important as a feedback mechanism. Based on this KPI, the team can determine whether process changes are required or productivity needs to be improved. Measuring the team's velocity is the basis for release planning in Scrum. If the Scrum team gets supported by a digital work environment, a digital leadership system, you can digitally record know-how during the process. For example, by recording the sprint reviews as a video, presenting each individual requirement, and if necessary, also the sprint planning, and storing it in a library such as Microsoft Stream, like Vimeo or YouTube. This way, knowledge remains persistent and can also improve and speed up onboarding for future new team members systematically. If knowledge is persistent in your digital leadership system, the team stays independent of specific project-related knowledge of individuals that might leave if a team member leaves. Of course, this requires training of every team member and continuous feedback during the process, which is mainly given in the sprint retrospective. If the Scrum team gets supported by without a proper onboarding, the integration of experts into your team will be less efficient. The onboarding is the basis for an expert that really fits into your team and becomes a valuable team member that contributes to the overall team performance. Proper onboarding of new team members ensures that the person gets access to all tools and standards and gets the initial training to understand expectations, accountabilities, responsibilities, and how the team collaborates. A first step in every onboarding should be that the onboarded person reads and understands the role description she's working in, and to get a clear commitment to cover all items in the role description. The more clear the role description is, the easier it is to stick to it, keep people accountable, and coach them. A good way to double-check the proper understanding of a person's role is to let this person give a presentation of her role to the whole team. Everyone in the team will get a clear picture of the new person's understanding and can help to clarify missing pieces. The onboarded person must have a mentor assigned that is the contact person to go to for any role-related questions. A person that processes the onboarding will always have questions. Having a mentor that can reply in a predefined time frame is crucial to get progress in onboarding and to keep the onboarded person engaged and motivated. A checklist for the onboarding of a person should contain all tools the person needs access to. Processing this onboarding checklist reversely will be the guide to offboard a person. During the first weeks of the onboarding, the onboarded person must have regular check-ins with her mentor to track progress and identify obstacles on the way to a successful and productive onboarding. We recommend at least one structured and well-prepared meeting per week. For more details about efficient and effective meetings, see the video Effective Communication, and also giving effective feedback. If a person working in a specific role requires additional training, this training is provided by the mentor or any other available expert that has enough experience in the required skills. This training becomes part of the onboarding. Onboarding should not happen by accident. Having a structured onboarding process ensures that no important step gets forgotten and all important parts of the onboarding are processed correctly. The offboarding starts when a person leaves the team. Offboarding of a person can be processed for a specific team or for the overall organization. If you have a structured onboarding process, the offboarding process basically follows the onboarding steps reversely. During the offboarding process, you should ensure that access to all tools is removed to comply with your data privacy and security policy. Having a password manager will help to process this with ease. Offboarding can give you very valuable insights into your organization. Make sure to have a final offboarding interview with a person leaving and ask for honest feedback and for her experience in working with other team members, your tools, and your workflows. There's always room for improvement, and these insights are often valuable for you and for your whole team. Transparency is also very important during offboarding of a team member. Make sure to communicate the leave of a team member to the rest of the team and explain what led to this decision. If you don't communicate clearly, everyone in the team will find his or her own explanation and might be afraid to be fired for a reason that nobody knows. If you have no structured onboarding process yet, we at FlashHub can provide you with a checklist template that you can adjust to fit your individual needs. We highly recommend taking onboarding seriously, as it is the most common pitfall that prevents teams from delivering high performance as fast as possible. Your team will only perform well as every team member 100% understands her role and has access to all other resources to contribute with high performance to your overall team. Without a proper onboarding, the integration of experts into your team will be less efficient. The onboarding is the basis for an expert that really fits into your team and becomes a valuable team member that could. I'm pretty sure you are familiar with the statement, "I would have expected differently or otherwise from you." Implicit expectations, as well as missing transparency, are absolute performance killers. Clarity is king. Implicit expectations usually lead to disappointment on both sides and to one person feeling blamed, which impacts the performance and the motivation of the whole team. This disappointment can be avoided by explicit agreements instead of implicit expectations in delegation. Basically, there are different levels of delegation and clear rules that must be observed. When you delegate a task, it is still your responsibility to ensure that the task is performed correctly. If you delegate the responsibility of a task, you are still accountable for it and for its results. In other words, if the person who has been delegated the task to fails, the task is brought back to you as the accountable person. You can also delegate accountability if you've ensured that the person taking this accountability is really capable and has the skills and the experience to succeed. Our assessment of FlashHub tests for soft skills and hard skills to increase the odds of finding a person that really fits to your requirements. Clearly define what the person to whom you delegate a task should do and exactly what the result should be. This is the output and the quality of the output. A template for proper delegation includes the following. What to deliver should define the exact goals and results as well as you know them already. The timeline, meaning by when should it be completed or delivered, as a clear deadline, including the date, the time, and the specific time zone. What not to do. Mention also what must not happen and let the person know why this is important to avoid. The how. For example, the quality criteria, explicit standards or guidelines that should be followed. The tools. What should be used for execution? For example, tools or other frameworks. Status updates, meaning which status reports do you want and when do you want them? This is important, for example, if it is a larger task or a responsibility taken over a long period of time. Also define when and in which tool should the status be documented and by whom. Meetings. Where do status control meetings take place? The delivery, meaning how should the result be delivered? For example, as a file, as a presentation, as code, or something else. If you watched the video about proper role definitions, you learned about the RACI framework, which helps you to organize all these tasks and responsibilities in a structured and clear way that avoids interpretation and brings clarity to all stakeholders. When you delegate a task to a person, make sure that the person has the skills needed to do the task for you properly. Otherwise, if the person fails, you will have to delegate the task again or complete it yourself. Depending on the skills and experiences of the person in the area of the delegated task, you may need to delegate small tasks with frequent checkups if the person is inexperienced, or larger tasks with only a result presentation if the person is more experienced. It is your responsibility to find the right way of delegation for a specific person. Better be more detailed and monitor results closer in the beginning than being disappointed at the end. If you want trust in the person's skills and capabilities, you can adapt your delegation style accordingly over time. If you want to delegate accountability and ownership, make sure the person took this accountability and ownership already in the past and has proper experience. Motivation and excitement is not a success factor. It is required to start and stay with the job, but only applying experience and skills to take the right actions will lead to the results that you require. When you delegate a task to a person for the first time, make sure you frequently set checkpoints to check that the person is on the right track. You can reduce the frequency of controlling once you gain confidence in the person's competence, as she delivers result in time, in budget, and in quality as per your request. Always write down the task that you want to delegate and make the progress traceable and transparent by using a task tracking tool, or if it applies, also a KPI tracking tool or a dashboard showing relevant KPIs. When there is no objectively good result delivered, give people the chance to understand what exactly you want. For any creative tasks, always provide 5 to 10 examples of what you like versus what you don't like. The more clear you are in what you're asking for and in the feedback you want to give, the more you increase the odds that the person understands the same and delivered the result that you need. Make sure to watch the video named Giving Effective Feedback if you want your feedback to improve the performance of a person in a team reliably. There is a simple test how well your delegation is prepared. Give one task with a description of the result that you want to 3 to 5 people and ask them what exactly they will deliver and how this result will look like based on what you requested. In most cases, you might get 3 to 5 different versions. And now here's the important question. Which one result is the one that you expect? And if you don't test for clarity, how will you know that the person you choose to delegate the task to will do it right? The more precise your request is, the higher the probability that you get the result that you need. We all experienced that there is not enough time to dive deep into all details. This is the nature of business. It is just important that you understand that there is a risk. Risk is nothing bad. It just needs to be managed properly, and you can only manage what you are aware of. The following listed indicators show you how you can identify risk in a virtual team in order to make decisions at an early stage. For example, results will not be delivered without notice of the delay. Communication is unclear or non-binding. Communication happens irregular. Communication is unstructured and not related to the subject, but to so many other things that don't contribute to any result and progress. The agreed availability is not respected, and the person does not join meetings when they are agreed. Despite clear communication, misunderstandings obviously occur again and again. Tools and workflows are not used as agreed in the role description, or agreed standards, policies and procedures are not respected, and the person does not request support or help to be able to comply with them. Frequent reasons why a result could not be delivered are presented instead of solutions and requests for support. Failure happens. This is unavoidable. What you want to happen at the same time is that people own their failure and want to improve. Not in order to punish them. That is the wrong path. People that own failure can be coached for improvements, and this coaching towards results, goals, progress and improvements will increase the performance of every individual systematically, and so for the whole team. Be clear, fair and consistent. Communicate your expectations clearly and point out the consequences. To work towards a common goal and to work aligned to some agreed standards, it is important that you are precise and clear about the exact meaning of everything you say and do. Expect the same from your freelancers and everyone else in your team you work with. Taking time to get clarity about goals, about root causes of problems, and about exact performance measures is crucial for high-performance teams. Should you notice after 2 warning shots that despite all clarity, no better and more reliable results can be achieved, end the cooperation friendly and with transparency about the reason. If you postpone this decision for too long, you endanger your whole team's performance. But please always keep in mind, every human being is and remains a human being and has the right to be treated fairly and respectfully as human being. This applies to the local as well as the virtual team. If a freelancer is not a good fit for the task, he or she may still be excellently suited for another task that fits for the role of this person. If you come to a point where you have replaced a freelancer in a specific role more than 3 times, be self-critical and check your processes, the way you delegate, how you support and treat people. Often the root cause is not having the wrong people, but one of the following points. Incorrect input. You can also watch the video Delegating Properly for more and deeper advice on this. People working in the wrong roles or on the wrong tasks. Incorrect assessment of the expert before hiring this person. The wrong tools or workflows for the specific work that needs to be done. Uncovered responsibilities and missing activities that should happen to bring the expected results, but currently don't happen. This can be, for example, a cross-check of all features of a software instead of only ticket-based testing. The result of these cross-checks will be that negative side effects and bugs will be discovered that are not directly related to the functionality of the ticket, but related to the code changes of the ticket and appear as bugs in other features that already passed the quality assurance some time ago, but are now broken again. Owning these failures will put you in control of potential improvements. If your view is that it's always other people that disappoint you and don't deliver, you take the position of a victim of circumstances and won't be able to improve the situation yourself. At FlashUp, we support you in finding the real cause of problems and risks with a root cause analysis. With the result of the root cause analysis, you will be able to take effective action and avoid ineffective but often expensive quick fixes that won't deliver any better results. The following listed indicators show you how you can identify risk in a virtual team in order to make decisions at an early stage. For example, results will not be delivered without notice. Communication in teams is the key to success. However, communication can also lead to frequent interruptions if communication is not structured, not well prepared to bring clarity about the subject and clear questions to the conversation. If communication is seen as a requirement for getting work done successfully, frequent interruptions will become the most dangerous enemy of high performance for your team. Communication in general should follow 4 main purposes and have one of the 4 following communication intents. Hand work over to another person or request feedback that is necessary to proceed. Update the whole team on progress, or discuss or inspire to find solutions for problems and improvements. It can also be personal engagements to fulfill the human need for personal, social interaction and engagement. Communication is only effective if participants that are involved in communication are prepared and if information is shared in a structured way and with a clear intent towards a common goal or towards solving a common problem. The more structured communication is, the more effective and efficient it will be and the better results you'll get. It should be clear which piece of information needs to be handed over or requested to which person and when this should happen. Random communication without clear intention to everyone is the fastest and most frequent way to lower the performance of your team and to drive people crazy. Just remember those endless email recipient lists where information is sent out to anyone. Hopefully, the right person is in the list. Once the team found an effective way to communicate these information pieces effectively, implementing tools that support this structured communication will make it even more efficient and persistent. The underlying workflows that a team should stick to have to provide clarity over regular communication and their intention. Scrum, for example, provides Scrum ceremonies, which are regular meetings with a clear purpose and intention, and Scrum provides artifacts, which are kind of work pieces that get handed over and are used to collaborate on their progress. Checklists and templates for repeatable tasks or workflow steps can help to structure communication and to clarify input of processes. You can see the amount of communication that is required to get work done in your team or your overall organization as an indicator of friction and inefficiency. The more communication is required to get work done, the more inefficient your team works. Analyzing the communication and providing more structure that brings clarity to your team will have a positive impact on your team's performance and well-being. To avoid frequent ad hoc communication and interruptions of your team in order to keep team members focused, establish clear and explicit communication rules that will support your team to build a culture of focus and progress. Make sure that this becomes a standard, and remember, a standard without enforcement is just a suggestion, as said by Keith J. Cunningham. Here are some rules that are effective and easy to implement at the same time to structure communication in your team. Every team member should provide access to their calendar for other team members. Having an updated calendar is mandatory for everyone in the team. Team members should know and be trained in using time boxes to structure their daily work. Time boxes will help people to stay focused and communicate expectations regarding availability clearly to other team members. Block time boxes in your calendar so that everyone can see when you are available for communication and when not. Using calendar invites and providing a precise agenda for every meeting will allow preparation and effective and efficient meetings for all participants. Respect the time of others and always think twice if a meeting is really required or if a clearly formulated, precise question will bring the required clarity to move forward. You are in control of the answer that you get. How? The quality of your question determines the quality of your answer. Simple as it is. If you realize that the answer you received was not what you needed, how about finding a better question? This empowers you to get control over the result you get instead of just relying on the information that other people give you. Consider asynchronous communication instead of synchronous meetings. Technology will help you communicate without the need of scheduling a meeting that might take longer than really necessary. You can use asynchronous communication by sending voice or video messages or writing precise questions in a chat tool. You can learn more about self-organization and time boxes in the videos Time Management with Time Boxes or in the video Self-Organization Hacks of the Flash Up Academy. The more you know exactly what you want or need, the more effective your communication will be. All our teams experienced that it is really worth thinking twice about the exact question that you want to ask. It really makes a difference in the answer you will get. Here's a template for building habits to avoid ineffective and inefficient meetings. Whenever you want to have a meeting with a person, instead of inviting or requesting this person directly, do the following. Write down the clear intention of the meeting. Why do you want to meet? Write down what exactly you want as the outcome of the meeting. Write down the exact questions and what exactly you need from the other participants that you want to request for a meeting. If you ask for help and support, provide insights in what you've already tried and why your solutions didn't work. Instead of inviting people for a meeting, consider one of the following. Ask the precise question in a text message via chat. If you need to explain more context, post a video message. Sharing your screen and showing your face will provide even more context and information that might help others to understand your situation and needs better. Try to find a solution yourself by watching some videos or by asking Google first. Whenever you have the need to simply talk to a person to feel connected through human interaction, just ask exactly for that. Organize a virtual coffee break, for example, that other team members can join if they want for the same purpose. The great thing about asynchronous communication is that it will allow requested team members to reply when they have the time, instead of being interrupted in their focus time and driven only by demand and request of others. Managing expectations about response times can help the team to build trust and reliability. Having time boxes for 2 hours followed by 30-minute communication time allows you to communicate a response time of 4 hours. With these clear expectations and with the intention to really process messages every 2 hours, people will gain trust in each other and reduce noise created by constant ad hoc communication and endless chats or call interruptions. And even within the agreed response time, it is not always required to provide a solution within this time frame. In most cases, it is okay and helpful to communicate a timeline when you can provide the solution. You just need to make sure to put the communicated deadline to your calendar to deliver the solution reliably in the communicated timeline. Having an explicit communication guideline for your team will provide this system as a standard for your whole team and your whole organization. If everyone works together on improving the way your whole organization communicates, will have a huge impact on performance and also reduce stress for everyone in your team. Communication in teams is the key to success. However, communication can also lead to frequent interruptions if communication is not structured, not well prepared to bring clarity about the subject and clear questions to the conversation. If communication is seen as a requirement for getting work done successfully, frequent interruptions will become the most dangerous enemy of high. If your team does not deliver the performance that you require, there is always a reason, and sometimes there are multiple reasons. To be able to effectively solve the underlying problem, you need to understand the real cause of the problem. Often, people find simple solutions for complex problems. And in most cases, these simple solutions are simply wrong. If you didn't find the root cause, all actions that you take might have the right intention, but will not be effective as they will solve a different or a wrong problem instead. Trust me, I experienced this many times in the last 16 years in this area. Typical team problems that are symptoms of underlying root causes are most likely that results are not delivered, or that quality is low, or that costs are too high, or transparency about progress is missing or simply not good enough. If you experience one of these symptoms, you should take action and try to understand the real root cause of this problem instead of applying ineffective quick fixes that will just fix something but not the underlying root cause. A great methodology is the 5 whys approach. Asking why 5 times will enable you to get the first obvious reason, which is the simple answer, but in 90% not the root cause of the problem. Challenging this question with other whys will lead you to one level deeper and closer to the root cause. If you do this 5 times, your odds increase to find the real root cause and the real underlying problem. The 5 whys should be answered by every team member. This will give you valuable insights from different perspectives and make the complexity of the problem visible to you and to everyone else in the team. Based on these insights, you can make an effective and informed decision to solve the real problem. Asking the 5 whys can become a valuable methodology that supports you and your team to become more effective at fixing problems at their root cause instead of wasting time, money, and energy for doing something that simply isn't effective. Here's an example of a root cause analysis with the 5 why methodology. A problem could be that the customer is not happy. Get your whole team together and trust they know the answers. They just need to dig deep enough below the surface to find the real root cause of the problem. You can help with that simply by giving them these techniques or by asking them the 5 whys. For example, this can look like this. The first question is, why is the customer not happy? Then you get an answer that typically looks like, because the project has too many bugs. The second question could be, why has the project too many bugs? And the potential answer can be from your team members, because it is complex and with every new release, new bugs appear. The third question can be, why do new bugs appear with every release? And you can get an answer like, because testing takes so much time and budget that we can't retest the whole software after every release. And here again, you need to ask, why is that? Why can't you retest the software after every release? And an answer from one of the team members might be, because we have no automated tests and manual testing takes so much time. Then you can ask again, why don't we have automated tests? And you might get an answer, because initially we decided not to develop automated tests to save some budget. And latest, after the 5th why, you know what you can do to fix the problem effectively. Different team members might come up with different root causes that could be fixed. Having multiple options will increase the probability of a good, informed, and effective decision to fix your real problem. Results are produced by the following pattern. Input is given into a process that is executed by people or machines with required skills or tools that will deliver the output. 90% of problems have the root cause in the following parts of the team. Wrong input is given or input is not clear enough. Communication is the most frequent root cause of problems. The input to a process or a person has a huge impact on the output. Always remember that the person you are delegating responsibilities or tasks to is not you and might not have all implicit information that you assume the person might have. Missing information will lead to a different interpretation of the delegated task or responsibility, and so the result might not be as expected. If you can't write down exactly which result you want, how should any other person know? If you want team members to work in compliance to existing explicit standards, make sure that these standards are accessible and understood by the executing team member. Structure and context, as well as an exact description of your expectation, will increase the odds of a result that satisfies your needs. Clarity is the key to effective communication. If the team works according to a wrong process and the required input of others is either not given, objectively not clear for other people to understand all the details, or the information is not provided during a handover to another team member, results might not be delivered as expected. If the process is wrong, the interface between people is not set up properly, and information that is needed to process work further might be lost. And sometimes the input as well as the process are set up properly, but the person that is requested to deliver a specific result doesn't have the skills, doesn't have the training, or doesn't have the experience and might fail on the job. Once you know the root cause of a problem, you can identify the action items to fix the problem effectively. If you define the action items without knowing the exact cause of the problem, you fix something, but it won't be effective and solve the real problem. A frequent problem in software development is quality is not good enough, and the quality engineer does not find the bugs before the product owner does. The easiest solution is to replace the quality assurance person or the software developer. However, in most cases, this will not lead to better quality, as the wrong person for QA, quality assurance, is not the root cause of the problem. You might also replace the developers, as they don't deliver the quality you want, even if there is a quality assurance person missing that is an expert in the subject of software testing. Using the 5 whys methodology that I presented in the beginning of this video will help you to find the root cause systematically. The root cause of poor quality can be identified, for example, as following. Are there bugs related to the task description that was the requirement for the implementation, or do bugs appear in another context of the software? If the bug is related to the task description, is the requirement that is not fulfilled and mentioned as a bug explicitly stated in the ticket? If yes, the quality assurance person didn't test properly. If no, the requirement is not complete and the product owner needs to write better requirements. If the bug appears in a different part of the software that is not related to the task description, then the process of retesting the whole software might not exist. If it exists and the retesting didn't happen, then the quality assurance person didn't follow the procedure. If there are no features described for retesting of other parts of the software after a new release, the team needs to find a way to identify individual features for retesting. These features for retesting must be specifically related to a newly implemented feature and linked in the task management tool. An alternative approach is that the team in Scrum, it is the product owner, must identify the most important features of the software that always require retesting with every change of the software to avoid unwanted side effects in the scope of these features. This can be done with a test plan that will be processed manually or with automated tests that run automatically after every software change and deployment. With such a systematic approach, you bring reliability to your team's work. Otherwise, quality and reliability is solely dependent on individuals. Remember that you need to accept that people are not machines and will always produce failure. Supporting people with structures, procedures, tools, workflows, coaches introduces reliability, clarity, and compliance with the standards that produce results in your team. With this approach, you lead with clarity and explicit agreements instead of with implicit expectations. The outcome is that your team will deliver results more reliably and in a quality that meets your standard. This example shows the complexity of most problems and that only finding the root cause will allow you to solve problems effectively. We at FlashHub support you with root cause analysis of problems that appear in your team so that you have certainty to fix the real problem instead of just the first visible symptom. If your team does not deliver the performance that you require, there is always a reason, and sometimes there are multiple reasons. To be able to effectively solve the underlying problem, you need to understand the real cause of the problem. Often, people find simple solutions for complex problems. And in most cases, these simple solutions are simply wrong. If you didn't find the root cause, all actions that you take might have the right intention, but will not be effective. Good feedback is understandable by any other listener and based on recordable facts. It is objective and not personal. It clearly asks for what actions that need to be stopped, started, or continued. Any feedback conversation should have a list of action items and action steps as an outcome so that improvements can be implemented systematically. The list of action steps should be created by the responsible person as you want this person to own the action plan. If you dictate the action steps, the ownership won't be taken. Chances are that you will have to push continuously to get the required results. You can develop a habit of giving feedback that is effective by applying the following template of nonviolent communication, which was described by Dale Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Describe what you objectively realized, the so-called recordable fact. Then describe which feelings you experienced while observing the recordable fact. After this, describe which needs you have in your specific role that are related to the observable subject. Describe what you want or request from the person what you need. An example for giving feedback to a person in your team that didn't track her time in the time tracking tool could be, for example, as follows. Lina, today I checked the time trackings of the team in our time tracking system. I wasn't able to see your time tracked. As this happened already 2 times in the past, I feel frustrated as I have no idea what else I could do to support you with this task and get your time tracking every day. As a project manager, I have a need to control the time spent in the project, and I want to be a reliable partner for our clients. They need to get transparency about the progress and the time and cost spent on the project. I want to ask you kindly to track your time in our time tracking system at the end of every working day so that I can see your time spent latest on the next morning. Here's our policy as the base for this agreement that is a standard that everyone in our team must follow. What would you need from me to make this happen without any further exceptions? And here's a real-life example for outlining consequences after the initial feedback. If we see again that the time tracking policy is not respected and followed as described and agreed, we can't be successful. We can't serve the needs of our customers and we can't achieve our goals. I, as the project manager with the accountability for updated time trackings and project KPIs, have to make sure to take any action required to align with our goals and remove obstacles that are in our way. Having no up-to-date time tracking in our time tracking system is an obstacle between our current service and the service that our customers require. If I see again that a time is not tracked as agreed, I have to recommend to our CEO to cancel a contract with you. With this decision, we can find a person that will follow our policies and procedures properly, for time tracking in particular, and you can find a job where you don't have to do things that you don't want to do. Please take this seriously, as I appreciate you as a person and would like to continue working with you. With this feedback structure, every person can clearly understand what exactly happened, why this is important for you and your organization, and what should happen instead. If you saw the same behavior again and again in the past, you can and you should also outline consequences clearly and precisely. Implementing this format of giving feedback in your team will increase the chance to much higher performance. Good feedback is understandable by any other listener and based on recordable facts. It is objective and not personal. It clearly asks for what actions that need. Depending on your role in the company, you have very different tasks and responsibilities to cope with compared to your colleagues, but regardless of what you are trying to achieve, there is a very similar pattern you will find across teams and companies when it comes to how you can achieve it. There is one single resource limit we all have to respect day in and day out. That is our working time. Spending your time both efficiently and effectively is a skill everyone has to develop over time to become successful in the organization you're working in. When it comes to details, there's always room for optimization, and as you are the one person who is working with yourself most of the time, you're welcome to adjust it to fit your needs. The most important thing to understand is you have to plan to plan. If you find it difficult to find the time to plan your working day or working week, it's already high time to start with it. Depending on your workload, make sure you have at least 1 or usually 2 slots per week reserved solely for planning your working time. Depending on how many different goals you have to plan for, it may take more or less time. Make sure to adjust these time boxes if you see you need more or less time each week. It's better to plan shortly, but at a higher frequency, so you can handle changes easily. You can create 1 or more weekly recurring events in your calendar for this. A plan is not there to be followed under any circumstances of change, but to make the impact of change according to the plan transparent to you. Chats, mails, and other tools that can produce constant communication can be a real deal breaker when it comes to working effectively that requires focus. If you are constantly distracted by notifications, it's like sitting next to a valve that keeps splashing cold water in your face at random intervals. The more important it is for your work to stay focused on a single task, and the more complex thinking is required for it, the more important it is for you to take your time off the net. If you have a lot of these tasks in your day, make sure to plan your time for emails, chats, and other communication every day. No one in your team should have to wait longer than 1 business day to get a response from you. So make sure to either have a time slot for communication 2 times a day, or make it a habit to first check your chats and mails before or after you are working on a task or taking a break from it. If something is really urgent, somebody will come to your desk or call you by phone in a remote team if you let them. And then they will share their problem with you, don't worry. For services like phone services or support services, meaning all services where you have to be available to react and respond, make sure you have a plan that allows you to handle your tasks in harmony with it. It's all about planning your time and managing expectations of stakeholders properly. Appreciating the time and effort of those you're working with is crucial for your team to be successful and happy with each other. Make sure you communicate all changes in your plan to the people who are affected by it. If somebody assigns you a task, make sure you check back with your calendar and provide an estimation when you can handle it and plan it into your schedule, depending on the urgency and importance of this task. If somebody asks you something you can't answer right now, or asks you to do something you can't do immediately, make sure you still respond to that person as soon as you can and provide them at least the information when you can respond to the question or perform the task. This will happen in your communication time box, for example, twice a day. If, for example, you receive an email that takes some time to handle and process, add a time slot for that email to your calendar and respond when you are going to handle the mail, for example, in a communication time box. Then the person knows exactly what to expect and when to get the response from you. If your time is planned via a central resource planning or a manager, that means your time is managed by others. Make sure to check that plan and integrate the corresponding time slots into your calendar for every upcoming week and communicate conflicts you see and have. If you have growing responsibilities outside of work related directly to a specific subject, make sure your buffer for these responsibilities grows with it and you aren't overplanned. For new tasks you aren't planned for, make sure your planned time matches or you request additional time at the person that manages your time. If you would add your whole week to your normal calendar, you would be displayed as unavailable for the whole week and it would become increasingly complex to distinguish between different kinds of work in your calendar. So using a separate calendar for your task time boxes, for example, allows others to still plan events with you. If you feel uncomfortable with a set event date from an invitation, you can still propose a different date or time easily. So don't worry about this part. Typically, you would use your base calendar for all events that have a fixed date and time, which are events that include others. For all other topics, you can create a separate calendar. You can still display all your calendars combined, so you will still see everything at a glance, but easily distinguishable by different colors. Working with time boxes can feel uncomfortable in the beginning as it will change your habits of time management and force you to frequently make decisions and reprioritize. However, this will put you in control of your time instead of reacting to what others demand from you. Be sure that after some training, you will overcome this feeling and see it as a reliable protection of your time and your performance, and other team members will see that and benefit from your reliability. Depending on your role in the company, you have very different tasks and responsibilities to cope with compared to your colleagues, but regardless of what you are trying to achieve, there is a very similar pattern you will find across teams and companies when it comes to how you can achieve it. Remember that only a person that is able to lead herself or himself can lead others effectively. Trello, Microsoft Planner, or any other task list management tool will help you to keep track of your priorities and different types of activities. Different types of activities can be tasks that are related to different subjects such as marketing, accounting, strategy, sales, etc. While you book regular and recurring activities to your calendar and add time boxes to your time box calendar, you can put single on-time items or tasks to your task list so that you don't forget these tasks and so that you can prioritize them per category or per subject. With the right organization of your personal task list and your calendar, you ensure that you don't just react to events that others request from you, but control things actively and have your to-dos clearly prioritized. This avoids multitasking, which is commonly known as a real performance killer and stress maker. Here's the process to set up the system for you. Set up a Trello board or any other task list board with the columns idea, in progress, delegated, done. Then add different new columns or lists per subject or category, such as marketing, sales, etc. If you feel more comfortable with labels or tags instead of separate columns per subject, that is also an option that works. If you choose labels, set up labels in your task list tool for different subjects. These subjects should be named with the same text as the related time box in your calendar. Add cards to your board and give them a proper label and add them to the right column whenever a new to-do that you accept lands on your desk or in your inbox. Put time boxes into your calendar for different subjects and name them by subject related to the list name in your task list tool. If you delegate things, document this in your Trello card and move it into the delegated column. This helps you to follow up. Remember, even if you delegate, it is still your accountability to ensure it gets done. Add one time box to your calendar to reprioritize your tasks in each task list. The top item is the most important one. That is not always easy, but multitasking kills performance, so you want to avoid it. Prioritization means saying yes to one item and no to all others. Accepting that you can't do all things at once, but you can prioritize them, will allow you to keep calm and collected, even if your task list is huge. You know that the most important things get done next. If you're not the only person setting priorities, you can also involve others, other stakeholders, for example, or other people in your team in this process of prioritization. When this reprioritization time box is active, focus on the related column in your task list board and work on the top item. If this seems not relevant to you, reprioritize the list. Move the most important item to the top of the list and start working on this. The combination of your calendar and your task list tool is very powerful for self-organization and a great tool to increase performance in your team and foster asynchronous collaboration while still having the feeling that you can rely on your team all the time and count on each individual. Transparency, structure, accountability, and prioritization is the key to performance, both for individuals and for teams. I wish you successful and happy scaling with virtual teams of global freelancers.